Okay, so in 2010, I didn't know that aliens were in my life yet. I knew about the heaven realm and this realm, but I didn't know all the other entities in between. So that's the only thing I understood at the time, was still just the heaven realm and this realm, the third dimension. Okay, so back from 2003 to 2006, and now I believe the aliens put me on a program, the astral travel program. I think they tampered with me somehow to make me astral travel every day for those many years, from 2003 to 2006. They let me, be independent. I shot off on my own. I landed in random areas of the heaven realm. But like I say, now I believe that they probably put me on some kind of a program that made me do that for those many years. Because then when I moved to Texas in 2006, I lost my ability to do it, like every day, like I was doing in 2003 through 2006. And, but of course, so in 2010, I still didn't know about, the aliens yet. So in 2010, I was asking my higher powers to give me my astral travel abilities back. I had been doing that for many years after, 2006. So in 2010, I lived in a small apartment, and I was asking my higher powers, mainly my spirit guide. My spirit guide came to me back in 2004. My ancient Egyptian spirit guide named Zenith. I had already knew, that she was from Egypt, and that she was an ancient Egyptian. I just didn't know what she looked like until she came to me in 2004. But I already knew that she was from Giza, Egypt, and all of that, like a year or two previous. So anyway, so in 2010, I was mainly talking to, my spirit guide to give me my astral travel abilities back. So one morning, in 2010, I had to work days. So this happened at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I was asking my higher powers. See, when you talk to the beings, you can be specific, but still, that doesn't necessarily mean another entity is not going to show up. Yeah, it's best to be specific if you can, but if you're not specific, no telling who shows up, what kind of entity. But lots of times I am specific and I get the same being coming to me, like Joel, the reptilian being. So anyway, but I asked, for me to astral travel like I always had been from 2003 to 2006. I asked to get my abilities back, and I asked, for me to do what I had always been doing from 2003 to 2006. And I could talk about those experiences later. Some of the places I went to, just randomly. But like I say, now I believe it was the aliens that did some kind of tampering with my brain to make me do that for those many years. They put me on some kind of astral travel program, I have no doubt. So, which, I'm not complaining because it's a freaking blast. Okay, so anyway, so in 2010 I was asking my higher powers, mainly, my spirit guide, to give me my astral travel abilities back. So one morning, it was a work morning too. I want to say it was about a Wednesday morning. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I didn't know about the fifth dimension at that time. All I knew about was heaven realm and this realm. I didn't know, it was like, I wasn't completely awakened yet. I didn't know everything was all infinity. I didn't know there was all these different dimensions and all infinity in between the third dimension and the heaven realm. everything is all infinity. So anyway, so this is what happened. Two children, and I just knew they were not spirits. I knew they were not spirits, and I just knew they weren't angels. I knew they weren't spirits, and I knew they weren't angels. But, I didn't know about the fifth dimension at that time, and I didn't know that there are humans that live in the fifth dimension. They're non-physical humans, but they are humans. Well, there's a lot of other things that live there too, but there are humans that live in the fifth dimension, the non-physical dimension. They're just, energetic. That's in a dimension that looks physical, feels physical, and all that. So anyway, these two children astral traveled to me in my bedroom at 6 a.m. in the morning. And like I say, I was asking to astral travel, but instead I got these two awesome, cute little children, about 10 years old apiece, male and female, one boy, one girl, that astral traveled to me. And this is what happened. They put me in an altered state of consciousness. I leaned up out of bed. But I knew I was in a dream state. I knew I was in an altered state of consciousness. I knew that. And I knew I was having an awesome experience. So I concentrated. The boy stood about, just about, a foot and a half in front of me. The little girl was about 4 feet to my right. And she was like, la, 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 la. She said a couple sentences, and I know it was like, you could tell she was like, oh, like she was all happy and having a blast. Probably because, it's fun for me to go to another dimension, so I guess it's fun for them to go to another dimension. But you could tell she said about 2 or 3 sentences, but I didn't pay attention to her because the boy stood right in front of me, and I knew I was having an awesome experience, so I wanted to focus on him, what he said. And he said, we come from WoodWillow. And yeah, I'll never forget it. He said, we come from WoodWillow. And then the little girl, over to my right, she was, you can tell she was all joyful and happy, and she said a couple things, probably pertaining to the fact that she was having a blast. So anyway, so after that experience, like I say, I knew they were not angels. And I knew they were not spirits. But now I realize they came from, I have no doubt, that they came from very close dimension, which is the fifth dimension. They did not come from the heaven realm. And so WoodWillow must be a little area of the fifth dimension, or it's a little area of what I learned about the Silver Legion. It could be an area of that, because there's this person that talks about the Silver Legion, and there's a bunch of, human entities that live there. And there's a couple reptilians too, but it's mainly a positive dimension. There may be a few negative entities, but it's far and few between. It's mainly, a positive dimension with very few negative entities. But yeah, I'll never forget. Like I say, when I leaned up out of bed, I knew I was in an altered state of consciousness. I knew that. So that's why I told myself, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. And so anyway, at that time I didn't know anything about the Silver Legion or about aliens or anything like that. I didn't find out about the Silver Legion, or about the fifth dimension, till 2 years later. But yeah, I have no doubt they came from the fifth dimension. I have, the fifth dimension is really close, so you don't really have to astral travel. You can actually project. Because when I was in England, oh yeah, and here's another out-of-body experience that I had, and I guarantee you I did not do it on my own. They made me do it. The aliens, all of my remote views I've ever had, all of my virtual, reality experiences, all of my astral travels, I believe, and out-of-body experiences, I believe all of them were due to the aliens, the ETs, that made, that tampered with me somehow to give me that ability. I have no doubt. Which all along, from 2003 to 2006, I was going out of body every damn day from 12 p.m. to anywhere between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And, I thought, I was just doing it on my own. I was doing it on my own. But they tampered with me somehow to give me that ability. I have no doubt. Okay, so anyway, in England, I did actually project to the fifth dimension. I can't remember if I was even asking to do that or not. Lots of times I ask for experiences and I get them. I can't remember. I don't think I was. I had a lot of weird-ass experiences, man. I got abducted once, and that was the only time that I couldn't tell if I was physically abducted or astrally abducted. I doubt I was physically abducted, but it felt like it could have been a physical abduction. But they can make you, have an experience that feels like you're being physically abducted, but you're not. But I totally know the difference between my physical abduction by the Greys and my astral abductions by the Greys and the Reptilians. But that weird experience I had in England where I was spinning around in a UFO ship, I couldn't, it was weird. So anyway, the other experience I had in 2014 when I went to England, I astral projected to the fifth dimension, just like bam. Oh yeah, and that was around noontime actually. We were taking a little nap for a couple hours, but I couldn't fall asleep at all. I tried to fall asleep, but I couldn't. So I just remained in a very, very, very light sleep state, and that's when I just, bam, went to the fifth dimension. And I knew it was a fifth dimension because an entity, or ET, alien, or whatever, told me it was a fifth dimension. So I was standing there in the road, and I was just like, wow. It was all sunny, and I saw, the trees and the road and the grass and everything. It was sunny. The experience didn't last long. But anyway, I projected to the fifth dimension, and like I say, I knew it was the fifth dimension. And, yeah, and I was thinking to myself, okay, well, what now? How do I find my family? Because I knew I was in the fifth dimension, and they're over here in the third dimension. So anyway, that's the only two experiences I have with the fifth dimension. Except some questionable experiences I've had, sitting in my car, taking a break at work, and I would get into a groggy state, and then it's like, yeah, it's like I kind of like, bam, projected to some other dimensions temporarily, and I believe maybe those were even in the fifth dimension. It's weird. But yeah, so anyway, there's two little children, I'll never forget them. The little boy had like kind of darker hair, dark short hair, and the little girl had lighter hair. But they both were about 9 or 10. And they said, we come from WoodWillow. Or he said, we come from WoodWillow. Well, if you look at Willow Wood, that's like a name of an angel. Like angel figurines. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, so... But another thing too, I didn't know about the aliens in 2010. And another thing, you know, the ETs, you know, mess with your head so much and can make anything happen. So, who knows if they somehow created those two children for me and blah 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 blah, because they have a lot of abilities. I mean, I hope they were real entities from the fifth dimension. So anyway, you know, they can put anybody in your scenarios, in your abduction scenarios. I mean, anybody. And, you know, you may think, oh, I saw an angel, or, psst, and it's them freaking messing with your head. You know what I'm saying? But I can talk about that later. But they mess with your head so much, you know, now that I look back at some of these experiences and I didn't know about the aliens at that time, then, you know, I'm wondering, okay, was that a real angel that came to my door, you know, in 2002? Or actually about 2001, you know, well, that's another experience. It makes me wonder, was that a real angel, or was it like the ETs, you know, making me think it was a real angel? So anyway, well, I'm going to believe that those two children were real, and they were from the fifth dimension. Yeah, I mean, I totally believe they were real. I mean, the ETs could have maybe went and communicated to two children from that dimension and made them come to me. You know, I don't think I really do not believe that, you know, they were fake creations, if you know what I mean, fake entity creations to put in that experience. I really don't believe that at all. But I'm just saying it's possible. But yeah, I don't believe it. It was too real. It was too real. The children were too real. But well, yeah, I mean, I can tell you more about some of the, you know, entities and stuff that they can put in my abductions, and like that they put my dead aunt in my abductions, I don't know how many times, and, you know. But anyway, I do believe these were real children that came to me from the fifth dimension. So anyway, that's my experience.